Part 1. The Lie We Were Told. Let me start with a blunt statement. The 2008 financial crisis was not a freak accident. It was not a once-in-a-lifetime event. And the system that caused it was never fixed. It was patched, papered over, and rebuilt, bigger, faster, and far more fragile. In 2008, the world watched a 158-year-old financial institution, Lehman Brothers, collapse overnight. What followed wasn't just a market downturn. It was a global seizure. Credit froze. Businesses failed. Roughly 9 million Americans lost their jobs. Trillions of dollars vanished. And we were told a comforting story. We were told this was all about irresponsible homeowners and subprime mortgages, people borrowing money they couldn't afford. That story was neat, digestible, and deeply misleading. Because the mortgages were not the disease, they were the spark. The real cause was leverage layered on leverage, hidden inside a derivative system so complex that even the people building it didn't fully understand it. Here's the uncomfortable truth. The financial weapon that detonated in 2008 was never disarmed. It was merely redesigned. Today, the global derivatives market has a notional value estimated at over $1 quadrillion. That's a number so large it's almost meaningless. It's more than 15 times the entire planet's annual economic output. And most of it exists in the shadows, off balance sheets, off exchanges, and outside public scrutiny. This is not ancient history. This is the system you are living inside right now. And the question we need to ask is not if history can repeat itself. The real question is whether the next version is already in motion. If you are interested in and enjoy this kind of video, please like, share, and subscribe to the We Do All of This channel. Part 2. What really broke the world in 2008. To understand what's happening now, we need to strip 2008 down to its actual mechanics. At its core, a derivative is just a contract, a bet. Its value is derived from something else: interest rates, stocks, bonds, real estate, volatility, almost anything you can name. Used responsibly, derivatives were invented to reduce risk. A farmer locking in crop prices. A company hedging fuel costs. But Wall Street doesn't stop at responsible. What Wall Street does is scale, and leverage, and obscure. By the early 2000s, banks had figured out how to turn bad mortgages into safe assets through financial engineering. Thousands of risky home loans were bundled together into mortgage-backed securities, then sliced, diced, and reassembled into collateralized debt obligations, and then insured with credit default swaps. Here's where the system broke. The same mortgage risk was duplicated again and again. Insurance was sold on assets people didn't even own, and the insurers held almost no reserves. A credit default swap was marketed as insurance. But unlike real insurance, anyone could buy it. You didn't need to own the house. You just needed to bet that it would burn down. And worse, anyone could sell that insurance. AIG, one of the largest insurance companies on Earth, sold hundreds of billions of dollars in these contracts while holding virtually no capital to back them. Their model said a nationwide housing collapse was statistically impossible. They were wrong. When the mortgages failed, everyone demanded payment at once. AIG couldn't pay. And suddenly, every major bank realized the insurance on their books was worthless. That's what nearly collapsed the global financial system. Not bad loans. Counterparty risk. The moment when you discover the person who promised to pay you can't. The government stepped in, not to save homeowners, but to save the bookie. AIG received a bailout of roughly $182 billion because letting it fail would have taken the entire system down with it. The lesson should have been obvious. Instead, it was ignored. Part 3. The system didn't shrink. It mutated. After 2008, governments promised reform, transparency, regulation, risk reduction. Some changes were made, but the core incentives never changed. Risk didn't disappear, it moved. Today, the most dangerous derivatives are not traded on open exchanges. They exist in what's called the over-the-counter market, private agreements between massive institutions. No public pricing, no real-time disclosure, no clear picture of who owes what to whom. The Bank for International Settlements estimates this opaque market alone totals over $600 trillion in notional value. To put that in perspective, a single miscalculation by the wrong player in the wrong corner of the market can still cascade through the entire system. We've already seen this happen. In 2018, a seemingly minor stock market drop triggered an event known as Volmageddon. Volatility spiked by over 100% in a single day. Inverse volatility products collapsed. Billions were wiped out in hours, not because of panic, but because automated systems fed on themselves. Then in 2021, Archegos Capital imploded. A single-family office used a derivative called a total return swap to secretly control over $100 billion worth of stocks with a fraction of that capital. Multiple banks unknowingly took the same bet with the same client. When prices dipped, margin calls hit simultaneously. Archegos collapsed, and the banks were left holding the bag. Credit Suisse alone lost over $5 billion. That loss never healed. 2 years later, the bank itself collapsed, absorbed in an emergency merger. This wasn't theoretical. This wasn't hypothetical. It already happened. Again. And it exposed the same weakness as 2008. Hidden leverage plus hidden counterparties equals systemic risk. Part 4. The echo of 2008 is already visible. Now we arrive at the most familiar part of this story. Real estate. In 2008, it was residential housing. Today, it's commercial property, office buildings, malls, hotels. For decades, commercial real estate was financed using short-term, interest-only loans designed to be refinanced over and over again. Owners never planned to pay them off. They planned to roll them forward. That only works if 3 assumptions hold. Buildings stay full. Rents keep rising. Interest rates stay low. All 3 assumptions are now broken. Remote work hollowed out office demand. Occupancy rates collapsed. Property values fell. And interest rates surged from near zero to levels not seen in over a decade. Between now and 2026, over $2.2 trillion in commercial real estate debt comes due. Many of those buildings are worth far less than the loans attached to them. Refinancing is no longer viable. So owners are doing what the math demands. They are defaulting. We've already seen major office towers in San Francisco and Los Angeles handed back to banks. Even Blackstone, the largest commercial real estate investor on Earth, has defaulted on hundreds of millions in office-related debt. And once again, the real danger isn't the property itself. It's what sits on top of it: commercial mortgage-backed securities, and the credit default swaps written on them. Just like 2008, insurance has been sold. Bets have been placed. And nobody outside the system knows who is holding the risk. The fuse is visible. The wiring is hidden. Part 5. A new risk that didn't exist in 2008. As dangerous as all of that is, there is something today that did not exist during the last crisis. A structural time bomb built directly into the stock market itself. 0 days to expiry options. Introduced in 2022, these are contracts that are created in the morning and expire by the end of the same trading day. They are not investments, they are intraday bets. And they have exploded in popularity. Roughly $1 trillion in notional value trades through this market every single day. Here's why that matters. Market makers, the institutions selling these options, don't want exposure. They hedge automatically. Every time traders pile into bullish bets, algorithms are forced to buy stocks to remain neutral. When traders pile into bearish bets, those same algorithms are forced to sell. This creates feedback loops. Buying causes more buying. Selling causes more selling. Speed replaces judgment. On a calm day, this inflates prices artificially. On a bad day, it can trigger a cascade. Major banks have warned that a routine market drop could force tens of billions of dollars in automated selling within minutes. This is not panic. This is plumbing failure. A system reacting faster than humans can intervene. Part 6. Why the next crisis could be worse. In 2008, the crisis had one primary trigger: housing. And the Federal Reserve had room to respond. Interest rates were high. They could cut aggressively. They could print money. They could stabilize the system at a cost. Today, the situation is different. We don't face one crisis. We face several. Commercial real estate defaults, opaque derivatives, exposure, algorithmic market feedback loops, all operating simultaneously. And the tools to respond are weaker. Rates are already high. Inflation is already elevated. Printing trillions more risks destroying the currency. Doing nothing risks systemic collapse. There is no painless option. That's why the comparison to 2008 isn't alarmist. It's structural. Back then, the bomb was singular. Today, it's modular and interconnected. Part 7. So, is history repeating itself? History never repeats perfectly, but it rhymes. What we are watching is not the same movie. It's the sequel. Same themes, same incentives, same blind spots. More leverage, more speed, less transparency. The system didn't learn humility after 2008. It learned confidence. And confidence, in finance, is often the most dangerous signal of all. The purpose of understanding this is not panic. It's clarity. Because the real risk is not volatility. The real risk is pretending the system is stable when it is structurally fragile. Complexity itself is risk. Leverage is a weapon. And free money is never free. The question isn't whether something breaks. It's what breaks first, and whether anyone sees it coming in time.